shorter than the ones we just looked at. So those would be simple squamous epithelial cells. And then all around it are a bunch of veins. This would be a vein right here. This is part of a vein. Here's a vein right here. Here's a great big vein right there. This would be a vein. That's probably a vein also. So again, when you look at veins, veins are going to have a bigger lumen than the arteries. They're also lined with simple squamous epithelia. The layer smooth muscle is going to be much smaller than the arteries will be. So again, take a look at that, and then I'll go back over to the ductus deferens. Compare it. That's the ductus deferens.
Do you want us to remember simple squamous epithelium for the veins?
No, I probably won't ask you that, but probably won't ask you that, no. It'll come up again when we do digestion, so probably should learn it at some point, but I won't specifically ask you. What you're looking at right here, this is also an artery, and this is also a vein. Why these look a little weird is there's dried up blood in the middle of them, and that's giving this kind of pink appearance in here. So those are just blood cells that are still, that just got stuck in the vessel. But again, this is an artery because it's very round, layer smooth muscle. This is a vein because it's more oblong, layer smooth muscle smaller, lumen's bigger in the vein than in the artery. This would be another vein right here. This would be a small vein. This would be another vein, little artery, and your nerves are going to be these guys right here. They're going to be smaller circles that are just solid. Okay? They don't have a lumen in them.
Can you see the microvilli?
The what?
The microvilli, or do you have to?
No microvilli on these
Maybe
guys.
the wrong thing.
Yeah, no microvilli on these guys. They're just transporters.
Okay.
Right? They're either transporting blood or they're transporting sperm or semen. So no microvilli on these. Okay. Then if we go over to, let's go to the epididymis. These are the guys that you'll see microvilli. Really long microvilli, and they're actually called stereocilia. So this is at 4x, and so this is a cross-section of the epididymis. So you see tubule, 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 tubule. So all of those circular areas are the tubes that the sperm is swimming through, right? And so you cross-section it, and so you just see all these little circles. And a lot of these, you see sperm, so that's what all of this here is in the middle. Those are all sperm. And generally you're going to find more sperm in the epididymis than you would the testes, because sperm go to the epididymis to mature and hang out and wait. Chances are you will see some sperm in the testes as well, but you're going to see just sperm that are releasing, traveling through the testes to get here. Now, when you look, we need to magnify this to really see it, but what we're going to do is we're going to look here at the wall of these tubules. And the wall of the tubes of the epididymis are going to be smaller, not as thick as they are in the testes. And again, that should kind of make sense, because remember, in the seminiferous tubules of the testes in the wall is where we're doing all those rounds of cell division. So you would expect the wall to be a little bit thicker. And when you look in the testes and you look in the wall, if you magnify it and look at the nuclei, you should even be able to see the chromosomes actually condensing. They'll look like little strings in the nuclei. And that's because the chromosomes are undergoing division, right? They're going through mitosis or meiosis. Now, when we magnify this, you should see that the edge of these cells here are not going to be clean at all. And that's because there's lots of these long microvilli, and they just make the inside of the cell look really or the inside of the tubule look really torn and ratty. So I'm just going to magnify this up to 10x. And again, it's a little bit hard to see projecting it like this. You can see the microvilli better if you just take the fine focus and go forward just a little bit and back just a little bit. But you can see these kind of, it looks kind of ratty, or these things kind of sticking up. That's the microvilli here of the cells lining these tubules. So all of those little frayed areas, those are the microvilli. And again, what's inside of here, those are the sperm cells in there. So again, you can see that's our long microvilli. There's some microvilli. Now if I increase it up to 40, again, you can see, so you can see here the wall is not real thick. You can see these are the microvilli coming off here. So for the testes and the epididymis, it's better to show it at like 10x or 40x, because then you can really see these cells that are lining the lumen. So if I switch that and go over to the testes now, you can see that the wall of these tubules is much thicker. So again, remember in the testes, they're very slender but tightly coiled seminiferous tubules. And so that's what you're seeing here. Here's a tubule, here's a tubule, 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 so on and so forth. And the wall here is very thick because those nurse cells are here in the wall of the seminiferous tubule, and all those rounds of cell division, this would be the basal surface, and the cells, the primary spermatocytes, secondary spermatocytes, spermatids will keep moving closer and closer to the lumen down here. So if I magnify this up to 10x, let me find a good one to look at here. So I'm looking at this one right here. So you can see that the inner edge of those cells is much cleaner than what we were just looking at. And that's because these guys don't have microvilli on them. You can also see that you can see the nucleus real distinct in these cells here. And when we go up to 40x, you should be able to see that in some cases you can see the chromosomes moving apart like this. In some of the nuclei, you can see the chromosomes lining up in a line. And those are all those different stages: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. And they'll look like little strings. Instead of just being a purple nucleus, you'll be able to see like little strings, the little chromosomes actually inside of there. And again, you can see that because that's what's taking place here, spermatogenesis. Now if we magnify that one more, go up to 40x. So again, when you look in the nucleus here, all those little strings, those are the chromosomes. You can see them all in there. Those are all the chromosomes. And then what you're seeing here, these are the sperm detaching from the wall and going in. So these are the tails of the sperm that are detaching. Here you can see the head of a sperm right here, and then the tail is right here. and it's getting ready to detach. So, again, really spend a little bit of time between looking at this versus the epididymis, so that you can tell the difference between a really kind of ratty look to the inner layer of cells, as opposed to tails hanging off of the edge of this area lining the lumen. But again, what I look for is this really thick layer, and you can see these cells very distinctly, and you can see the chromosomes in each of these cells. You can see it real clear. And again, the edge of the cells looks much cleaner than the epididymis does. Questions on the male system? What am I missing? 902. Okay, got a couple minutes. So let's go to the ovary. What you want to look for in the ovary is you want to look for different size follicles with oocytes in those follicles. And the follicles are just groups of cells that house the oocyte. And they're going to be on the edge of the ovary. So this would be a small follicle. This is a really big follicle. That's a pretty good sized follicle. That's the oocyte inside of that follicle. Just keep going down here. Here's another. So this whole thing here is the follicle, and then that brown part in the middle, that's the oocyte. So during ovulation, what's going to happen is the follicle is going to rupture, and that oocyte's going to come out of the follicle, out of the ovary, and then get swept up into the fallopian tubes. So you'll see different sizes because they're in different stages of development. And I'm not going to ask you to know, is that a primordial follicle, a primary follicle, a primary oocyte, a secondary oocyte, but you should be able to see, again, on the edge is where you're going to see these follicles, and then the oocytes will be in the middle of them.